Nancy Guthrie's disappearance took a very disturbing turn almost immediately. It's not something that we didn't know or surmise or, I don't know, psychically guess. You can say that. Hypothetically, sort of, kind of, maybe, right? But this is just getting more weird. And I have to bring this out to you because I found this last night and finished researching it today. And of course, I have to race to you because this is where I come. And if you'll do me a favor and please like and subscribe, that would be fantastic, and I appreciate it. We have the big book of bull out today because I've got so much bull to put in here. And I think you're going to be stepping back and thinking, what the heck really is going on? So we're going to start off here. We'll get out the cards in a little bit, but we're going to start off here. Yes. Now look, we are at the middle of this book. You can always tell when you see the middle. This is called a signature. When, I don't know if you can see the thread, but when your thread is sewn into that's the middle. We're now in the middle of this. Not to worry, I've got other big books. The bull will continue no matter what. Now I want to ask you something here, and I've got a pen, I think, today that you're going to be able to see a little bit better than normal, and if it bleeds through, it bleeds through. Now I want to talk to you about, let's go back. I want to talk to you about the first alleged ransom note. Okay, so this is the first one here. And of course, this is for Nancy Guthrie. Day too long. Okay, so the first ransom note. Now, it reportedly described what Nancy had been wearing. Have you heard that? I kind of sort of did. And maybe that's where that's where Savannah got that information when she said that her mother was wearing her night clothes and didn't have shoes. I don't know about that. But it described what she was wearing that night when she vanished. She didn't vanish. She was taken. And even mentioned a broken floodlight in her backyard. Information investigators believed might only have been known by the person who took her or persons who took her or surrounded her, as in who? I don't know, known people? I'm going to put it that way. Do me a favor and please do not put names in the comments because everyone is innocent until proven guilty according to the law. We can all have our opinions. Just please put the initials. We'll know who you're talking about. If you do put a full name, we're not going to see it. It'll be removed. So here's the thing. The first letter began by saying that Nancy, this is the first one now, was frightened. She was frightened and unsafe. That got to me, unless I misunderstood that. But she understood what the details were and exactly what was being demanded. Now, this is a key word. We're going to put it over here. And we're going to really highlight the bloody heck out of that one. Because my question is, what were they demanding? Not money. Not money. What was the demands of her return? Do we even know? Nancy knew. But unfortunately, she didn't give a chance to say to anyone, and neither did the perps that took her. But what was being demanded? Did they want her house? Did they want her car? Did they want money? Did they want one of the family members to be quiet about certain situations, situationships, interviews? Maybe. We may never know. It was also reported that this was very highly sensitive information and details that ordinary outsiders should not have known. Okay, but you knew this. So here's the thing. Now, the feds later revealed that some of the messages demanded payment by 5 p.m. on the 5th of February. Instead of transferring the full amount, the full ransom amount, the investigators reportedly, now I'm going to say this is my own opinion, okay? The investigators wanted to play a little game. The little game was they sent 152 in Bitcoin. Now, why they did that, they were hoping that somebody was desperate enough that they would just bite on that. And instead of sending the whole amount, they could just go grab them. Well, here's my theory. If they felt that somebody was going to bite on that, why not just send the entire amount? Because the odds of them biting on 152 versus 4 million is my understanding of what they really wanted initially. Or even 1 million. I can't even remember. It just seems like it's so back and forth. If you felt you were going to grab them, why not just put the whole amount in there and then just go bloody well grab them? But somebody screwed up. They were hoping that responsibility would attempt to withdraw it and expose the identity. So this is a game. But unfortunately for Nancy, the perps didn't buy into the game. So they never took the bait. The money was never touched, and the individual reportedly captured on the security footage did not take the bait. Why do we think that he didn't take the bait? The porch guy is who they're talking about. We're going to put him over here too. Why do we think that he didn't take the bait? Well, could he have gotten his ticket to the upper room just like Nancy? Could that be? Because we know that there's more than one in here. And the more that I think about it, and I was talking about those droplets on the front porch, this happened at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I am more convinced that now, I'm going to say I have seen in the remote views where Nancy had the ability, capability, and probably in the past having small accidents like that, even coming from her nose. But I don't think this is it. I think it was done. She had that Band-Aid on 2 days before, and I think that it was done and something just happened and it set it off, and it could have been that she came down, and then it was reported that if you have the front door here and you're looking at it, it was reported that the blood droplets went this way. Now, she could have tried to, she might have just thought she was going to go out that way to, hello, she's allowed to walk through her yard, and maybe she realized it and went back in. My question is, did they check for blood droplets on the door or any type of blood droplets on the doorknob? Did they? The mat in front of the door is still there. But regardless, if an accident like that happens and it was on her right arm, most generally she would have just grabbed her right arm and went back into the house. I saw Band-Aids on her counter in the bathroom. When I was remote viewing, I wasn't there now. Let's not get excited. Moving on. So I've got a place I'm going with this. Then on February 6th, so this was the 5th. Now let's turn a page. Let's turn a page because we're going to come back to this. Let's mark it so we can. So on February the 6th, we have another little thing. Another message. Allegedly, supportedly, allegedly, sort of, kind of, maybe arrived from the same IP address. Now, that doesn't surprise me at all, and it would make sense. But this time, the sender apologized and claimed that Nancy had received her ticket to the upper room accidentally. The demand then changed dramatically. $4 million in exchange for Nancy. And she was reportedly not alive. So at that point, investigators may have realized their original little strategy had failed. That leads to produce no breakthrough. The Bitcoin, to this moment, is untouched and still there. Nancy has still not been returned. Did the feds mess up? Did somebody mess up by doing this? I can't believe that was the idea of the feds, because is that smart? Because if you think you're going to catch them, why just throw a little bit of bait out there? Throw the big enchilada out there and grab all of them, because you know they're going to be standing there by the kiosk or wherever it is that they were going to cash in, and then the red lights or blue lights or whatever could have come in and grabbed them, or whatever they were. They messed up. Now, here's the thing. Savannah and her siblings returned the emotional public appeal. We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us, that we may celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay. At that point, did anyone still think she was alive? There were so many little Easter eggs in there, but I know that everyone had hope, and so did I. The language immediately raised questions, so their appeal no longer sounded as though they expected Nancy to return alive. It sounded as though the family had just received information indicating that their mama, yeah, that's weird too, had already gone. Nancy's note outside that memorial where she's saying mama and that big display of dramatics and all that. Listen, the only time we see them and they're there, should they have been up for an Academy Award? I'm sorry. I know this is a tragedy. But you're leaving that type of note out there, and then it's no longer there. Who has it? And the writing, it looks like a 5th grader. Okay, back down, Zelda, back down. But there's another public statement that also deserves very close attention, and I don't think many of you have heard this one. And this one bothers me, and we're going to get into this. So during the Olympics, the 2026 Winter Olympics, there was something weird that happened. NBC Sports But this is weird. The reporter, Mary Carrillo, was filling in for Savannah. Remember, Savannah was supposed to go there, and she was supposed to be there. And it was what, the night that she was supposed to leave? They called her and said, you can't leave. Nancy's no longer here. What do you mean? Why didn't you call me earlier? But Savannah was supposed to be there and reporting. She had stepped away from her anchoring duties to be with her family then. So Carrillo addressed Savannah directly on the air. And this is what she said, and I quote, "Right now, of course, Savannah and her family are in unspeakable, unfathomable pain. We know that in the U.S., her extended family is legion." Savannah, my friend, it's the same way here. And there was one word in that message that jumped out. Not only did it jump out, it just kind of jumped out and gave me a little creative whack on the side of the head. And it's this one right here. Legion. Now, not too many people say this word. And me being me, I always look into things. But why would she say that? This isn't a word that people commonly use when simply saying that someone has a large circle of friends or colleagues or supporters. A legion. So while now, in all fairness, a legion can mean a vast number of people, and it can refer to an organized force. And for many viewers, it carries an unmistakably dark or biblically biblical association. And that happens to be where my camp resides. Was Mary Carrillo simply just saying that Savannah had an enormous extended family of supporters across the country? Possibly, but why choose this word? That bothers me. So let's talk about it. She said that her extended family was legion, and maybe it was nothing more than an unusual figure of speech. We're going to say that. It could mean nothing. But in this case, already filled with strange messages and cryptic people being around and law enforcement here and doing this and doing that and carefully chosen language and unanswered questions, that word is difficult to ignore. There are many troubling elements surrounding Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, but two questions remain for me. And the first one is, what did Savannah and her family know when they made that public appeal? So what did they know? Now, I know somebody may come in here and say, Zelda, it's none of your business. No, it isn't. But to a certain extent, because many of us have been here. Some have been arrested trying to report what's going on with manipulation. In that, we won't go there, maybe another time. But look, I've spent my time, many of you spend your time watching, and we want to know. If they're going to make this big and public and over the top, there are many people missing. I'm sorry. But why Nancy? Why is Nancy getting all of this publicity when others deserve the same, if maybe not even more? The second question is this, and don't think that I'm horrible, because it's the situation. But what's the second question? Why was the word legion used? she used that to describe the people that were around her. Well, it certainly wasn't family that we saw. Could she be saying that the vast amount of people resonate to her as being a legion? Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but it doesn't really have a good connotation. There's a dark part of this legion, and I'm going to tell you what it is. The dark association with legion comes primarily from the New Testament story of the Gerasene and the Gerasene demoniac. And that was told in Mark 5 and Luke 8. Now, I happen to like the description that Luke, who, if you didn't know, of the 4 disciples, was a physician. I happen to like that because he basically accounts for this as explained that that name is because many devils or demons had entered. You see, I don't. The spirits who entered this one person, this possessed man, because Jesus asked the possessed man what his name was, and the answer is, "My name is Legion, for we are many." Don't you think that's an odd word for an NBC reporter at the Olympics talking to Savannah and saying, Legion? Okay, it may be safe enough. It may be innocent enough. But why does that word especially feel so ominous? Because a Roman legion, now I'm just going to say, let's go back into history a little bit. A Roman legion was a large organized military force numbering in the thousands. So therefore, the biblical name does not merely suggest one evil spirit. It creates the image of an entire army of spirits occupying one person. And if you've never seen anyone who is truly obsessed, I'm not talking about Zach Bagans because he gets possessed every episode. I'm talking about the real one, the real persons, those that affect an exorcist that may also lose their life trying to exercise one of these things. It ain't funny. And one of the reasons why I don't get into demonology. I recognize it. I respect it for what it is. And I won't go near it. And the fact, if you've ever seen a demonic possessed person, it feels as though there are many that are in there because you get rid of one and one comes in and takes its place. And many times it can unalive the person who is possessed. It's not funny. And that's why it jumped out at me. Now, am I saying that any of us are possessed? No. Am I saying that Savannah, Nancy, Annie, Cameron, anybody in the family is possessed? No, I'm not. Let's get that clear. But this kind of goes with a whole theory that I have. We're back at NBC once again. The people who hosted that 2019 interview with Savannah and the people from the Epi Island, you know, the Epi Island that had monsters, that these people probably were possessed and demonic because of what they did to the people that were flown there, and any survivors that talked, well, they may not be around now. Because of this passage in Mark 5 and in Luke 8, it is just seriously developed several dark associations. Now listen to this. I told you it was going to be long. You may need to pause, go to the bathroom, get a snack, because we're going to continue. That passage can be demonic possession. It can mean many entities speaking as one. It can mean a loss of individual identity. Sorry for the writing. It can mean, get this, an organized spiritual force. Why do I underline that? Well, let's go back to the Epi Island. Let's go back to the connections that maybe Savannah had. Or maybe someone else near Savannah. Now, I'm not saying that Savannah was involved in this at all. I'm not saying that. But during that interview, that young lady, Virginia, started mentioning names. And then all of a sudden, boom. And 3 days later, I'm just going to go ahead and say it because it is a fact and you can look it up. 3 days later, after Nancy was taken, the Epstein files dropped. I have a hard time believing that that person from the Epi family was not higher on the echelon. And you know what crap does? It trickles downhill. And I'm going to say maybe the lower level of that was the porch guy. And maybe the middleman was someone that Nancy knew. Because when I did that remote viewing, I saw her. She recognized someone, and a moment of joy turned directly into a moment of fear. Let's continue. The last but not least is something vast was hidden, and it's behind a single voice or appearance. Now, what am I saying? Who, if I believed anybody was part of a legion, who would that be? Could it possibly be the EpiPen guy? You know what I'm talking about. The Epi Island. Something vast hidden. A single voice coming forward. These people lost their individual identity. Many entities of one. And by the way, I'm just going to also tell you, this is why I don't use EVPs. Because you don't know what you're getting. And you don't know what you're inviting in. I'm an energy reader. I don't invite spiritual entities coming in. Why? Because they lie. They will tell you, oh yes, I am Julius Caesar. I am whomever. I am Cleopatra. I am you know what I'm talking about. I am Charlie. I am Nancy. This one did, because you know what the game is? They tell us, they gaslight. These entities are gaslighting. Why? Because you keep inviting them in. And you keep inviting them in until the point where things around start going weird. And they start getting darker. Believe me, I've seen it happen 100 times. It's not good. And you can do what you want to do. As for me and my house, we serve the Lord, and I won't invite those entities in. But let's get back to this. All of this is why this word can land very strangely when people hear it outside of a biblical discussion. Most people, even if you don't know a lot of biblical stuff, understand that the word legion can lean onto the dark side. Legion may immediately recall demonic declaration. You know what it says? We are many. Now, Zelda, how would Mary Carrillo know to use this word? You don't have to know. She may be innocent enough. That word could have been put before her. But bottom line is, we are many. Now, could she have meant that there are many, we are many that pull for Nancy and we want these people to be found and prosecuted according to the law? Absolutely. But why use that word? Legions. I don't know. The important distinction is that legion is not automatically demonic word, and I just want you to know that. So before anybody gets upset, Mary was most likely saying that Savannah had a lot of enormous, extended family and supporters. But I heard that word, and I'm hearing all these things about the ransom notes and who made the decision to put the 152, because you know what? That whole business right there, that 152 in Bitcoin may have been the deciding factor. Now, let's not forget when I remotely viewed Nancy's house, the first time, what did I see? Were shadows. Were they demonic? No. Were they placed there with somebody who had extended powers? Yes. Why were they put there? To watch the goings and comings of Nancy, to report back to whomever sent them. We are many. Who, and this whole thing could be doing this. Now, I want you to also know, I know many people who happen to be practicing, and it starts with a W. It doesn't mean that they're bad people or they're devil worshippers, because they're not. So I want to get that straight. But sometimes when you're in that type of thing, it's very easy to take a wrong turn. And sometimes desperation can have a wrong turn. And that's the scary bit about this. Have I seen this sort of thing before? Not often, but yes, I have. Where people are so desperate to have another family member be manipulated into what they can do. They approach the line, they cross the line, and then they fear the line. The power is in the truth. And all I can say is, you can fool some of the people some of the time, most of the people most of the time, but you can't fool Zell, and you can't fool you guys either. There's something over this. Now, again, I'm not saying that Mary Carrillo is part of a dark entity, but sometimes words can be placed in front of us that we used. If you asked her why she used that word legion, she may not even know. She may not even remember it. But my camp, when I heard that, I went, holy mackerel. Wait, we need to look into this. What can you take going away from this? Well, hopefully you've learned a little lesson in Mark 5 and Mark 8 about the demonic being, the demonic possession of this man, the Geroncy demoniac from Mark 5 and Luke 8. We are many. But are they looking at us as YouTube people that are reporting on this? And I don't even put myself into that category, because to me, I'm sitting here, there's many people that are boots on the ground doing the Lord's work and really, really parsing through things. They deserve the credit. But do they feel that we are just many because we want to just keep Nancy alive until she's found, or until the perps are found and they tell us what is going on? I say, my darling, I look forward to July 2nd. Why it's July 2nd? Because the one ransom man has a new plea hearing. And if the judge or the magistrate of whom he's going in front of decides to seal it, we may configure that there's something funky. But if he doesn't seal that, then we're going to go through it and then we'll know. But he's had to say something. His first name is Derek. He had to say something in order to get a plea arrangement. Now, again, the judge doesn't really have to go through, he doesn't really have to take it. He doesn't have to take it. But will he do it? Probably, because he's probably got some good information that's helping the feds. And look, I'm all for it. I don't want our tax dollars going to house some dude that is involved in something and he doesn't give anything, right? That's the way I feel about it. Prison's prison, not television time. That's what I want to bring to you. I want you to think about this. And I just think as time goes on and am I reaching? I don't think so, because I want you to really think about this. Who is involved and why? And yes, remember, her brother said, Savannah, I think this is because of you. If your brother comes out and says that, hello, you better stand up and listen. Now, let's get out the cards, my darling. Here we are back again, my darlings. Please do me a favor, like and subscribe, and tell me whatever you want, but let's just be kind to each other, okay? Can you say, Zelda, you are so off the mark, chick? Of course you may. Do it kindly, though. But listen, when you live in my world, coming here automatically should give you the idea that I may go down that other pathway. And it doesn't mean that I'm right, and it certainly doesn't mean that I'm wrong. So let's ask the cards. And this deck is becoming one of my favorites for this dark reading type stuff. You know my motto song, right? Love is kind of crazy with a spooky little girl like me. Whoa. Did you see that card go flying by? There we are. That's the money part of it. The Ten of Swords. Wow. Let's do one more card. That one flipped over again. It's the King of Cups. We had that yesterday. So it's telling me that somebody is there that is domestic, is around Nancy. Do I feel that they knew Nancy? Yes. Yes, I do. Do I feel the porch guy is no longer with us? That's my opinion. Yes, I do. Let's get one more card out and ask the Magician. Oh, that's going to be interesting. Shall we read these first? Yes, of course. The Two of Pentacles. We've got Pentacles here. And that to me tells the story. The Two of Pentacles. It is hanging on to the money, hanging on to the idea. Whoever made the collective decision to hang on to the money and only put $152 in there. You know what that adds up to? A number 8. 8 is supposed to be prosperity. Does somebody just really think of that? Why the number 152? Was that all somebody had in their little Bitcoin wallet and said, look, I'll do you a favor. I'll just drop this 152. And it's still sitting there. Maybe, unless whomever put it there retrieved it. But somebody made that collective decision to hold on to that money. And then look at the Ten of Swords. Traditionally, this Ten of Swords is someone laying on the beach with all of these in their back. The sun is rising. It's becoming a new day. And I still believe it was not intentional. I believe that it was an accident. I believe these people went in. They were performing their job for money. There's the 8. Oh, wow. How amazing is that? So 152 adds up to, now, I'm talking numerology. 1 plus 5 plus 2 is 8. And there's the 8 of Pentacles. The 8 of Pentacles is trying to figure out a place to maybe put things, to put it, organized, keeping consistent throughout the Pentacles. And yet someone made a collective decision. Was it their fault? We'll never know. Hindsight's 20/20, and it's a woulda, shoulda, kinda, maybe sorta position to be in. But this tells this tale right there. They held on to the money, and then there, metaphorically speaking, Nancy is on the beach. Oh, wow. And I still feel there's a water reference to Nancy. Always have, and I always will. Nature is most likely taking care of that, and it's very sad. Now, someone also asked me about cremation. It is extremely hard. You can try to do that sort of thing, and I'm going to be very genteel about this, because, you know, disclaimer here. But if you just do that, try to do that, many of the body remains, even though it may be charred. It takes an extreme amount of heat. And then there are some things that are left over. Here's what I don't want you to believe. I don't want you to believe that these people, even though they wrote and said, look, we're really sorry, this was an accident, give us $4 million. That should give you an idea of what their mindset is and where they are. They don't care. They're not going to take the time to bury her, do anything else. Most likely over the mountain into the river. Most likely. If it were me, I would be looking in the Colorado River. That's just me. I don't know that for a fact. The Magician. The Magician. Look at him. He's cute. He has every element at his beck and call. The sign or representation of Mercury. And Mercury retrograde is coming next month. We should prepare. I don't dislike Mercury retrograde. I prepare for it. However, Mercury retrograde has a tendency to bring the truth to the table, and starting maybe 1 to 2 weeks before it starts going into place. Mercury retrograde is a planetary alignment. And for those of you who don't know it, you may want to look it up. I'm not going to take the time now to talk about it. But this magician, I also like to call it the manifestation card, but in this right here, you see here's a little, this is a number 1, although it's the second card in the tarot. Now, why Zelda? My gosh. Now, I have to tell you, the first card in the tarot deck is always the Fool. It's the Fool starting the journey, stepping out into unknown territory. And then it starts with 1. But the Fool is numbered, and that's called a key. But the Fool is numbered 0. It's not really 0. It's considered to be null, N-U-L-L, for null and void. Means you just start out. Are you going back to? No, this right here. But look at this sign of infinity, the infinite sign, and also a number 8. Could we possibly be preparing ourselves to hear more within the next 8 days, or on July 8th? I would look. Be a watchman. This is a card of having everything at our beck and call. All elements, fire, water, earth, and air. And he's got 1 up. He's holding a little scepter here, but you see he's got his fingers. Hello. Who does this look like? Reach out and touch someone, right? Hello. His motto is, as above, so below. So below. I'm going to have the House of Zelda. I told you it was going to be a little longer. Am I grasping for straws? No. I take everything that everyone says in consideration, not with a grain of salt, and especially in these files. I feel I'm here to just give you this information and you can make your own decision. But do I believe that there's something dark behind this whole thing with Nancy? Yes, I do. Because for them to say Nancy knows our demands, well, good. We need to know them too. Because now they're not doing Nancy any good, nor the family. What were the demands? And who made that decision to just put 150? I could have given them 152. Why did they do that? Because guess what? They're working with a group of people, higher echelon, that know a game. Why? Well, because they've been involved with feds and law enforcement before. They know the game. They're not going to fall for $152. They got people to pay. And especially they're not going to take that because they know that was the bait. That was a bait. So we've got 8, 8, and an 8 here. Gee. This is serious. It certainly is. And we are about to find out more. Just wait, because they're not done yet. Yes, it truly is. Haunted by the past. Well, I think the past will be for them is, did that 152 make a big difference in what happened over the course of maybe 48 hours? Are they haunted by the past of, is there regret? Is there regret for doing things with the channel? And frankly, I'm reading myself, just for myself, and I think there's a little disagreement between family members. And especially between Cameron and the girls. Missing information. We've seen that. We're going to continue to see that. And I still believe that they have a little bit of information from those cams. Floodlight being mashed in the backyard. Who should have recognized that? When Did that happen before they went in? Did it happen the night before they went in? If someone dropped them off, a family member dropped her off, wouldn't you recognize that there was a light in your floodlight in your backyard that wasn't on? I don't know. Contact coming to you. This means there's more information coming. And if you see how it's sealed, there may be some more sealed information coming that we are, well, they think that we're unaware of. Who are they trying to fool? Right? Marriage. That is a commitment to this. It is a commitment. But could it be that there's somebody involved that is married? Oh, definitely. And there's fortune, you see. So there was a plan, a possible plan for fortune. And sickness, that would have been Nancy. That would have been Nancy after they took her. And look at this. That's the God, the all-seeing eyed. That is the card of constancy. That's right. That's a name. That's a word. Constancy and consistency. The all-seeing eye. Someone out there knows. Someone out there has seen. But this one right here, coming out of the gate, holding on to money, in my opinion, definitely affected the outcome of this. Playing that game. Join me tomorrow night, Thursday, the 25th, for an episode of Help, I'm Haunted. We're going to be talking about the run, but darlings, I'm going to be talking about the extended version, Aftermath, and it still gives me chills. So do me a favor, watch, subscribe, hit the all when you click on the subscribe so you don't miss anything. And you know where I'll be, right here, seeing crime along with you. Bye for now.